Hey YouTube, welcome back to Along for the Ride and another Build It series video. I haven't done one of these in a while, just been busy building, but we're doing a small deck extension on a deck, which I think might make for a good time lapse. So here's what we're doing. So here's what we've got. We've got an existing deck over here and we're extending it 9 feet. The family's gotten bigger, lots of grandkids, and they just want a little more space on the deck. It's actually a 2-level, and originally we talked about bringing all of it up. But the cost of lumber right now is a little much, so they're just going to add to it and then we're going to go from there. Sorry about lots of traffic here, but the post holes have been done. That took a while, not for us, but just to find somebody to get them done. So today we're going to add in the ledger, start with that, put our joists out, get this all squared up. Not going to do an angle out here this time and get it all framed up. That should be it for today. I think we'll get that all done in today, tied into the old deck here, and make things work, and then we're going to decide what to do with the decking. Client's on holidays right now, so I've got the day to kind of play and work, and I'm going to throw a time lapse on here and see how it goes. Well, it is 11:22, and aside from a couple having the redos, we've got the joist sitting there roughly, this outside beam just pegged in. Nothing's really solid right now in terms of full hardware, but it's there. And now we're gonna add the joist hanger. So a lot of people like to try and put the joist hangers on ahead of time, but that doesn't always work because your material isn't always true 2x8. They could be different in sizes. So a nice way of doing it, I learned this from Dr. Dex, is to pin up your joists, make them flush with the top, pin them to start, and now especially when you're working by yourself, now I can come around and mess with these joist hangers and get them installed without having to worry about trying to hold onto the joists to get it to work properly. And I'm actually going to screw them in as well using these number 10 SD connectors from Simpson. So that's the plan here, get all these joist hangers on here so this is solid. Then we'll solid up this outside beam, install this center beam to help hold the load, chalk line, and cut these ends off so it lines up with the other deck, and we're pretty well done. Like, that's the framing. And I'm going to work out some pricing for them around what they want to do with the deck top, whether they're going to pull this all off or not. We definitely have to pull these posts out. They go right through, as you can see, for the railing, which is kind of an interesting build, so they're going to have to get cut off, and this railing's going to have to come down. So we might get to that today. We'll see what happens. All right, so here we go with the joist hangers. So this is what they look like when they're done. With a 2x8 joist hanger, you got 3 into the ledger, 2 into the joist on both sides. So we're nice and flush here, and these are great. It's the first time I've actually done it with screws fully, and I don't think I'll ever go back to nailing again. They're a little more expensive, but the time you save putting them in and the holding power is by far way better than a joist hanger nail. So Simpson Strong Tie, love them. One of the big challenges when you're working with adding to an existing structure is squaring it up or making it level, because sometimes the old structure is no longer square or level. So we got to figure out where the end of this needs to be, and that deck back there is 15 foot 3.5, and I could measure this 15 foot 3.5 and cut it off and hope that we're lining up here. And even at that, there's not a lot of space here to measure from the house accurately. We got a bay window there and that kind of thing. So what I did actually was I ran a string line along this edge and pulled it out past my joist. And then what you do is you look down that edge, where's my finger? Look down that edge way over there, and you've got your string line sitting out here, and you pull your string line tight with that edge till it hits it, and lay it on these guys and then mark them off. So now you can see there's my 15 foot 3.5. There's my chalk line. So I'm only about 3/4 of an inch off, which isn't bad considering, but that's probably the best way to keep this lined up with that deck without running into a whole pile of problems. Now what I'm gonna do is, that's obviously the outside of the deck, so I gotta cut 1.5 inches off here for the rim. I'm actually gonna cut 2 inches off and give myself a 1/2 inch overlay, and hopefully that will help clean up or clear up any of the issues we have with making it square. You don't have to line it up exactly, and you can have that overhang. You can hide like 1/4 to 1/2 or something like that in your overhang. So that's what we're thinking right now. There we have it. The framing is all done. Beams are bolted, everything's tight. We just have to do this corner, but we've stopped because we've tried to figure out what we're gonna do about the squareness. So the old deck here is not square. It's out 1.5 inches in that little 10-foot span, which increases this to a 3-inch overall out of square. And the problem is, I've lined it up with a string line, this line right here. And I've done that because that railing needs to be straight. Or when you're standing on the deck and when you come around the corner, you're gonna see that that railing is square. Out of square. Out of straight, I guess is what it is. One of those things. So that's what we've done. Makes this part of the deck not square. And I believe the original plan was to pull all the decking off and start running the boards parallel to the house. But the easiest way to hide this out of square, and which I think is what they've done, is to run the boards diagonally on 45. So I think the simplest solution and most cost-effective solution is what I think the clients are going to be looking at, will be to run these boards on a second 45 going the opposite direction. Have to tweak out this corner here, so we're going to have mixed boards, but I don't think they're going to want to replace the whole top. I'm going to stop today, do some paperwork, figure out some costs for them, and send them some pictures and just see what they are thinking, because it's not what I would do, but if it was me, I'd be redoing the whole deck, railing and all, but that's just not what they want to get into. So that's what we're doing. The client is always right. That's what it's all about. So thanks a lot for tuning in here on Along for the Ride for another Build It series. A short one, but a good one. We'll get back at you when we get back to the deck.